Mr. Reinhardt asked me to read something at the beginning of the meeting. We were asked recently about our acceptable use policy, and I was asked in particular, and I did not have that answer, and we didn't have any administrative staff with us to answer that question. The actions that the administration plan to take regarding acceptable use policy: when an issue is reported requiring remote access by the IT staff into an employee's computer, the IT staff member contacts the employee and does not enter the computer remotely until permission has been given and the staff member is aware. Number 2, in the event that an investigation must occur where a computer must be accessed remotely, the superintendent must give prior approval for remote access by an IT staff member. 3, all central office administrators' remote access has been disabled. And 4, Policy 815, the acceptable use policy, has been referred to Attorney Aaron Gilsbach of Kingsbry with recommendations from the IT staff for amendments. Finally, at the next committee meeting, we will have for discussion the possibility of hiring an outside firm to conduct once a year random inspections, if you will, to make sure everyone is complying with the policy and no one is using our computer or any type of service other than the way it's designed for. Thank you. John Rose recorder is still correct? At this time, we will hear the superintendent's report regarding the cyber school.
Mr. President, we were going to offer an update on our cyber school planning, but with the discussion that occurred last week, we decided that what we should do is use the information that's been assembled by Ms. DeVitro as an opportunity for our committee to gather and use that as a launching board, if you will, for the planning our cyber school here in Easton. So what we'd like to do, and given the need to have our time spent on these reports, what we'd like to do is postpone an update, if you will, on the cyber school progress and planning that Ms. DeVitro has in place, and wait till we have our first committee meeting where we'll discuss that and provide that for the board.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. This time we will go to number 5, reports, and first we'll hear from Ms. Price with the CIU 20. Thank you, Ms. Price. Before I move on to Ms. Price again at the Public Library, I need to mention something. We have an addendum, however, it is already on some agendas that some of you have and some of you don't have it, so I'm going to mention it now. We're going to add, if you don't have it, under personnel, the resignation of the superintendent, John Reinhardt. Look at the press. But then we're going to recommend the appointment of Superintendent Reinhardt for a new term effective July 1 of 2015 and ending July 30th of 2020. So we're going to add that to personnel. Thank you. Yes, please.
Vice President of the Pennsylvania Library Association, and the There's a new fire suppression system, color copiers, and security cameras at the library. And so that's basically the highlights from that discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Price. CIT, Mr. Obie, Snyder, and/or Vanderberg.
You have anything, Brian? Well, we didn't really go through much last week.
No,
We're
just
starting budget talk.
No, they were just looking, they were just working on the budget. They were going to run through some numbers because of the, some concerns about the budget from some of the superintendents, I believe. So they were going to go back and rework and relook at the budget. That's the only report.
Thank you. Northampton Community College, Mr. Fainal.
Yes, we had multiple items this past month. We started off by meeting with the person that's going to be running the Middle States evaluation. We followed it up that we had an update because there was a concern about the Affordable Care Act and how that applied to the Cadillac tax. And so we were assured by our consultants that we fall well within those limits, which is a good piece to look at. We had another highlight, and that was the acknowledgement and the acceptance of the tacit grant, which was $10 million, which was rewarded to a combination of three varying schools, but with Northampton being the lead school in monitoring and in the implementation of the tacit grant. And other than that, there was very little other business, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fainal. The Foundation for Eastern Schools, Mr. Buscemi.
The foundation got a pretty good grant from Capital Blue Cross. They gave $5,000 to use for the SIZZLE program. SIZZLE program is just it's a daycare type. It's a summer camp that helps low-income and at-risk children, kindergarten through third grades. That money was used to fund that, so they got $5,000 donation here, which really will go a long way for them. There were a couple other things. The foundation relies on contributions, and there's a way to contribute without directly contributing. I'm sure many people here are probably familiar with Amazon Smiles, and you can contribute a portion of your purchases. Well, if you go to Amazon Smiles and type in the Foundation for Eastern Schools as a recipient, they'll get a contribution from those purchases. That would be money well spent going right to the district. There's also another vendor called Simply Do Good. If you go to goodsearch.com, that's another shopping site where a portion of your purchase will be donated directly to the foundation. And I just want to read a letter that the foundation received from Ms. Ronaldo and Annette Lalka. They had a project at the Eastern Area Middle School 7 and 8, and the foundation had given them some money, and they wrote this letter. We would like to thank you for the grant we received for the Students in Motion sculptures. With the money we were able to create a permanent piece of art for our building that showcases our diverse student interests. We were able to work with both 7th and 8th grade students to create our final sculpture, and all students involved enjoyed the experience. The 8th grade students helped to cut and sand the sculpture, and then the 7th grade students added the tiles. It was a learning process for everyone involved, teachers included, and together we learned to work with new materials. We did have one setback as the leg of the second sculpture fell off while trying to cut it. Unfortunately, because of this, we're only to complete one of our 2 planned sculptures so far. We've gotten a new board to replace the broken one, and we'll begin working on finishing the second student sculpture soon. The finished sculpture is a student football player. The second sculpture will be of a student playing saxophone in the marching band. We're going to wait until spring to permanently place the sculpture in the courtyard. Hopefully, we will also have the second one completed by then, and we can place them accordingly. Overall, it was a wonderful opportunity, and we are so fortunate to have had your help along the way. We are very appreciative of all you're doing to promote the arts in Eastern Area School District. So that's where what the money goes to. So if you can just keep that in mind when you do your shopping, I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Buscemi. Charles Schrin, Science and Technology Initiative, Mr. Vanderberg.
No, but we meet again early January.
Thank you. Legislative, Ms. Leonard Ellison.
Just reported the end of the election process that Governor Corbett will be replaced by Mr. Wolf at the beginning of the year. and legislation will start really probably zipping up from that point on.
Thank you. Student, Mr. Cook.
Morgan Weiss, Exec Board President.
Thank you.
Hi. So right now the freshman and sophomore classes are just coming up with their hallway decorating ideas, and they'll be collecting class dues shortly. The junior class is coming up with their hallway decorating ideas, and they're selling their junior parking passes. The senior class is doing all the bonfire festivities along with hallway decorating, and their t-shirts, their senior class t-shirts are on sale Monday and Tuesday before they leave for lunch. Otherwise, you can place an order in the 12th grade office. What else we have? Our homecoming dance, which was November 1st, was definitely successful, so we were happy with that. The Powder Puff game is going to be Monday, November 24th at the Maloney Field in Phillipsburg. Tickets are $3 for adults and $2 for students. We'll be holding an American Red Cross blood drive February 3rd and May 8th, along with Key Club. So seniors who donate and or help at both events are eligible for a scholarship based upon how much blood we raise. On January 17th, the Lehigh Valley Special Olympics will be hosting a polar bear plunge in the Delaware River, and you must raise at least $50 to participate, and you can sign up at plungepa.org. That's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
PTA, Ms. Robertson, on behalf of Dr. Gilligan.
Good evening. As I mentioned before, my name is Michelle Robertson. I am the PTA president at Tracy Elementary School. I am filling in for Dr. Gilligan as she wasn't able to be here. Report from Tracy PTA. We will be hosting Breakfast with Santa this Saturday at Applebee's. A visit from Santa and Mrs. Claus is expected, along with a Tricky Tray raffle, pictures with Santa, and more. The annual Holiday Bazaar will be held in December, as well as a Barnes & Noble book fair and our annual Winter Choral Concert. And finally, next week, a festive Rover tailgate will take place in anticipation of the Easton Peaburg game. And all I can say is go Rovers. From Shawnee Elementary, they recently sponsored an assembly called Dr. Recess. The assembly grew out of a problem that the staff members were noticing. The kids were having trouble coming up with free play games during recess. So the principal at Shawnee, Mrs. Galloway, had heard of a wonderful program called Dr. Recess that helps schools address this growing problem. The Dr. Recess program works by helping kids learn to proactively initiate healthy and fun age-appropriate playtime skills that kids today have limited time developing because of the increased participation in organized activities. Teachers also receive training as part of the assembly to help kids continue to learn better ways to manage their own recess time. Both Mrs. Galloway and her staff reported it was very successful and well received by students and staff alike. Over at March, they hosted their first dance of the school year after last year's spring dance was so successful. This time, the PTA hired a DJ to keep things lively, but all other items, drinks and snacks, etc., were donated by parents. And finally, over at the high school, we've got some event notices already. They are already looking ahead to their post-prom event. In the last few years, it's been becoming increasingly difficult to host that event. But it's extremely important to the safety and well-being of our students. And it's a great memory for all of them as well, whether or not they choose to attend the prom. They're already looking to include ways to get more people in the planning of it and volunteers. They're always short-staffed there, so they are looking for volunteers, and we'll be starting that process much earlier. The Council PTA will hold its first of 3 meetings this coming Wednesday at Shawnee Elementary at 7 p.m. Thank you very much for this opportunity to address the board.
Thank you. EAEA, Mrs. Miles.
Good evening. I'll start on my monthly negative that we're still dealing with the lack of substitute concerns, which I know every building and every person in the district's working on. The positives, we're very happy to be working on the Cyber School initiative with Mr. Vitro. We are looking forward to the startup of the Superintendent's Forum, where teachers from each building will be sitting down with Mr. Reinhardt and other administrators. And we're very busily preparing at all of the schools for all of the Thanksgiving traditions with Easton Peaburg and all of the holiday concerts and everything else that goes on. So, thank you.
Thank you. Bus drivers, Helen Jones. No report this evening. EASD Diversity Committee, Mr. Reinhardt.
Yes, we're meeting again on December 8th and, excuse me, 10, December 10th. We have, I think, a number of items that were interesting items that we're going to be discussing. The Diversity Committee has been set up and arranged in order for us to have a dialogue about the district's diversity and about how we can strengthen ties between the school district, the community, and those in between. As I mentioned, our 3 goals are to look at student achievement and see how we can bolster student achievement. We're also looking at parent engagement and ways that we can engage parents, and also in assisting high school students access opportunities for after high school life, whether that be in a post-secondary school or whether it's in the field of work. But our goals are kind of centered on those 3 items. I'm very happy to report that I've had some conversations with superintendents in the Lehigh Valley about creating a coalition for equity in education, if you will, as a working title of a group. We're working with Lehigh University to try to see if we can link into the University of Penn's model for this, really the same thing, which is trying to bring to the Valley some of the resources that Penn has made available to districts in the Philadelphia area. And those resources being individuals and groups who are outstanding, if you will, in the field of diversity, equity in education, educational opportunities for all students, and especially in our minorities, in our minority population. So that's a very exciting proposal, and one that I'm hoping that we can get launched very soon in partnership with other Lehigh Valley schools. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Number 6, standing committee reports. I'd like to just take a second and focus on letter B, policy, and just get a quick update from Ms. Leonard-Ellison regarding the advertising policy.
Advertising. 707.2, we worked on it after we had our committee meeting, and actually Bob Fano did a lot of tweaking of it. So we probably are ready to move that forward tonight for a first reading and open it for discussion if there's any discussion on that. But the policy's in front of each of the board members in case you need to review it further, since we worked on it since the committee meeting.
If I could make a comment, Mrs. Ellison. This policy 707.2 may look considerably different than it did in the last committee meeting, but it essentially says the same thing. And congratulations to Bob, who worked with Keely Collins in my office to make a really readable, concise policy that holds together very well. It still is a policy that is essentially based on advertising that is the district's advertising. It's not advertising by clubs. It's not advertising by booster clubs. It only deals with commercial advertising, and it allows for a designation of possible advertising spaces and sets forth reasonable restrictions on that advertising. And I know that I've been to I don't know how many committee meetings where this has been discussed, and it's a much better product, frankly, now that you looked at it, Bob.
Hopefully, we'll still put it on for the next committee meeting just as a follow-up.
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to number 7. Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard on agenda items only? Agenda items? Would you like to be heard, sir?
No.
Mr. Cuck, can you? Right behind you. He couldn't hear me, Mr. Cuck.
No. Good. I don't think he's talking.
All right. Please, sir.
Nope. Convinced.
For 28 years,
Sorry, if you
I
could
was
just
a
state your...
chemistry student, chemistry. I'm the one who did the work, and it was fine. But I have a question. Why do the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies fail this year? Why? Tell me. Somebody should be able to say that and make sense. Okay.
You don't have the right players, Mr. Singh.
And they didn't. Now, this is the thing. It's the kind of thing you can't do that. You've got to be able to do the work, and therefore you need the people that are going to do the work. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have students and people, and that's a tough job that he has. But you have to get yourself the right thing. I can say that when my friend and I both left the thing, Al Jones, who's a good friend of mine, he said, "There's nobody now to do chemistry." Now, that's the thing. He was a good man. He knew what he was talking, and that's the kind of thing we have to have. We've got to have good people, and it's high time that we can. All this other stuff that we got today, that's going to be nothing unless you have people that will stand up and say, okay, this is what you do, and you have their students, and that's good. I feel very strongly about it. I like it.
Thank you, sir.
Pardon?
Somebody has a comment over there.
I can't hear you. Okay. That's it. Many people have nobody. And it's good to be tough, because I've had several people, boys, come in and say, if I hadn't been tough with them, they'd be in jail. And that's what you want to be. You've got to be a parent as well as a teacher.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Michael Lordy, and actually I happen to think that part of the problem of the Yankees and the Phillies were the algebraic dynamics of physics and not being able to hit a curveball. I do want to make just one addition to the a library. And that is shameless self-promotion here, but in the Easton High School Library, there is this month and into next month a program, an exhibit on the Holocaust that contains a variety of different items that are available, that have been donated by some members of the Battle of the Bulge, including Morris Metz, who is given us some items. Also, it includes a collection of original photographs from Mr. Donald Burdick, who of Forks Township, who was the first GI to enter the concentration camp at Dachau. He disobeyed orders, taking a camera off of a German soldier, and took photographs to catalog what he saw to make sure no one could contradict or ever make the claim that what he saw did not happen. There's a variety of other materials, especially on the home front. There's a collection of books, magazines called The Home Front that was published in Bangor that includes little write-ups of some of the soldiers and sailors who served in World War II, and I guarantee there are people in this room whose parents, grandparents, or even great-grandparents have a little write-up about them back in these magazines. I don't know what the board, what the policy is for the public to come and look at and walk through the library to see this exhibit. But it's there. It will be there for the students, and it's coordinated with some of the lesson plans from the history teachers. And the curator of the program is the very capable, very intelligent, and very pretty Mrs. Michael Lordy and Mary Lou Lordy. And I don't know if it's the public is invited to see that. That really is, maybe you could tell me if the school is in. And I do want to thank Mr. Reinhardt for stopping in when we were putting up the exhibit. He was very kind to take a tour and give us a sense of what he thought. And so thank you very much, sir. And I just wanted to make that note. And I guess I got to sign in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And did I mention it was the very pretty Mrs.?
Yes.
Like, I have to have that on the record.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Yes.
if I may.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Carter.
As the principal of the high school, it is truly a museum quality exhibit
Yes.
in our high school library. And I think what I'll do, Mr. Gorda, is talk to Mr. Reinhardt about making it available to the public after school hours on a few evenings between now and when the exhibit leaves the high school. Thank you. No problem.
Yes, if I would just say that the exhibit really does show what one person, and forgive me for giving credit to Mary Lou, I know you're an important part of that too, but it goes to show what one person can do in an effort to try to educate others about something that should never be forgotten. That exhibit is provided to schools free of charge. I can't imagine how many hours you people put into assembling it, taking it down, reorganizing it, adding to it. It is absolutely, it is museum quality. There's no question, and it's because of the dedication of her and, of course, her husband. But it is their dedication to making sure that the people that they can get to, that those people do not forget about the Holocaust. And in fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was the anniversary of Kristallnacht, which was the night of broken glass in Nazi Germany, and that provided the impetus for this display at this time. So, Mr. Cook, we need to see what we can do about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on agenda items only?
I just would also like to comment on that. That's been a couple years that she has been able to put that into the high school, and it has been a phenomenal addition to their program and to the opportunities for the students to see that. So, again, I think we all would like to thank her for her efforts.
Thank you. Seeing no one left from the public, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, executive session report. Can I have a motion to accept the reports as posted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Personnel. I will be asking for a motion to take letters A through H. I am not including the superintendent motions at this time. We'll do that separately. So if I could have a motion under personnel to accept letters A through and including H.
I'll make a motion for A along with regrets.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before I go to personnel, letters I and J, I'd like our solicitor to, if he could just explain to the public why we have to accept a resignation from our superintendent and then reappoint him.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little hard to understand, but essentially, superintendents can be elected for no less than 3 nor more than 5 years. thought here is that the board actually wanted to give what would be a 4-year extension, I think, because the current agreement runs out June 30, 16.
15.
Yeah, but I think that the current one runs out in 16. Runs out a year. Yeah. No. This one starts in 15, but the current one runs out in 16. Okay. So, in order to accomplish that and give the extension the board was looking for, it was necessary to resign from the current contract and then apply for a 5-year term to the department. That's what it's about. It's essentially trying to recognize an extension of time that the board was comfortable with within the rules of the department.
Thank you, Mr. Freund.
So,
at this time, I would ask for a motion to accept the resignation of Superintendent of Schools John Reinhardt as Easton Area School District Superintendent effective June 30th, 2015, as per the attached resignation letter. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Motion second. Who gave the motion?
Motion and second.
Mr. Buscemi and Ms. Price. Discussion? Sorry to see you go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter J. I'd ask for a motion to appoint Mr. John Reinhardt as Easton Area School District Superintendent effective July 1st, 2015, for a term beginning July 1, 2015, and ending June 30th, 2020, as per attached contract for Superintendent of Schools of the Easton Area School District. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? I just want to say I want to thank Mr. Reinhardt. I know when you came back with your decision, the board was very happy to have you want to extend your contract. We're very happy for what you've done since you've been here, and we look to watch you continue in what you're doing in the school district. So thank you.
I'd like to point out, Mr. Reinhardt, that by design there's a gap of 24 hours here. So on June the 30th, you may not technically exist.
I see. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Number 13, and before we go here, I'd like to recognize and ask all of our Eagle Scouts if you guys can come forward. Scouts, I'm sorry. That's right, you haven't done your project yet. All of our Scouts, please. Trick question, there you go.
Frank.
It was a trick question, sir. They got it right.
After, go back to afterwards.
Come on up.
Come on up, guys. Come on up.
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah. But these ones.
He missed the academics.
I missed academics.
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks, bud. I skipped policy. But I'm gonna stay there for a minute. At this time, I'd like to have a motion on 13A to accept Eagle Scout project proposed by Andrew Klein of the Easton Area High School.
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I think it's going to be an excellent addition.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
They're very helpful too. The high school needs it.
Thank you.
Very good idea.
Mr. Klein.
I don't think these Boy Scouts realize now they're going to be helping Mr. Klein.
Mr. Klein, can you stand up for us?
You guys let him operate a postal day.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Klein, and thank you for wanting to do that. Going back to number 11, academics. Can I have a motion to accept the CIU 20 contracts?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 12, policy. I'd like a motion to accept A through and including D.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Oh, all right.
No.
Number 14, finance. I'd like a motion to accept letter A, letter B, and letter C.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 15, miscellaneous. I'd like a motion to reappoint Mr. Baron Vanderberg to a 3-year term on the CIT Operating Committee effective December 1, 2014, and expiring December 1, 2017. Can I have a motion?
A motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Vanderberg. At this time, is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard on non-agenda items only? Seeing none. Number 17, any other business from board members?
Mr. President, if I could just offer a comment. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank the board for what has been a very challenging but very pleasant association over the past months that I've been here. I really appreciate the opportunity that we've had to work together as a team, and that includes the district administrators as well. We've had some tough challenges, but you know, we've looked at those challenges. We've tried to meet them and tried to collectively find the best path to solve to meet those challenges and to solve our problems. So I appreciate the support the board's given me, and I look forward to working with you in the future and working with the administrative team here. So thank you.
Thank you. Quick announcement for the board. We're going to have a short, I will say 2-minute, but it'll probably be 10, executive session after this meeting. Number 18, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.